Welcome to Africa Decode. Today we are speaking with Dr. Shamin Nambassa, a former GAL president of Makerere University, public health advocate, and parliamentary candidate in Kampala who has traveling with Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, or better known as Bobby Wine. And now we are going to explore critical questions facing the Uganda election: the arrest crisis, the credibility of the Electoral Commission, and most importantly, the general struggles driving this movement. Stay tuned. Dr. Nambassa, thank you so much for joining us. And now let's begin our discussion with the first question. The United Nations Commissioner for Human Rights report that over 550 people, predominantly the NUP members, have been arrested since the start of 2025, with over 300 arrests since campaign began in September. And then Bobby Wine has described this campaign as a war zone. Can you walk us through what's actually happening in Uganda on the ground? And how does NUP function as a political organization when hundreds of your members are either in detention, missing, or living in fear? And what does election cease to be an election and become something else entirely?
Thank you so much. So first, I want to agree that we have so many people that have been arrested since the start of these campaigns. We have many that have gone missing. We have many that have been injured. We have many that have run out of their homes, and so many different circumstances that they're living under. Right now, when we go, before even I think the campaign started, there were some very crucial people that were arrested. We had our bodyguards, the president's bodyguards were arrested. Our deputy spokesperson, Waiso, was arrested. We have the head of our leadership school, Kaija Dorin, she was arrested. And so many other arrests have continued to happen. So what happens is that we have had different situations as we go into the campaign, sometimes just even along the trail as people are moving and going to the rallying point, people that join the team along the way, some of them get arrested. We saw that, we've seen that in Kawempe, for example, on the rally day when our president was in Kawempe, we had hundreds that were arrested, I think over 80 something. There were many that have been arrested. So some are arrested along the way as they head to the campaign grounds. Then some of them have been arrested through ambushes. We have had times where the team is sleeping in a particular hotel and then the army or the police security forces ambush those hotels and arrest people. Then we also had the biggest incident where we had an ambush in Barara that saw so many that were arrested. We were just moving and we were cut off along the way, and very many were arrested. So currently that is what happens throughout. If they're going to be tear gassing, they're going to be shooting. I saw people shooting live bullets in Iganga. There's so many arrests that are happening. So the campaign trail, I think that is why our president starts to describe it as a war zone, because people are just moving and then they start firing tear gas. People are just moving, they start making arrests. They have found people along the way. They have found people who are non-violent, just walking along with our president. They get arrested. So the entire situation is tough for us. And so that is what basically I think, because I think that's what happens in a war. People are getting shot, people are being arrested, people are being beaten up very brutally. And so basically that is when it shifts from being an election to being a war zone. And how do we then continue? We have found that as a party, I think we must appreciate that the National Unity Platform started as just an organization, the People Power Movement. It was just a movement. So we had so many people that believed in the movement. We have so many people that even now, while we may have a party, we still believe that there is still that spirit of a movement. So we find that even when some get arrested, others keep coming through. And I believe that is what typically describes a revolution, that you can't arrest everyone. The ones you arrest get replaced by another 5 or 10. So that is how we've managed to survive throughout this entire period.
Now, talking about the electoral commissions, because we have election coming up soon, most Uganda do not trust the electoral commission, a sentiment backed by polling stations since 2017. In 2021, the Electoral Commission admitted it did not count results from over 1,200 polling stations, and many in opposition stronghold like Kampala and 409 stations supposedly had 100% vote turnout. So additionally, the EU did not send observer because their previous requests or recommendation were ignored, and the United Nations also cancels its mission due to denied accreditations. So given this history, what specific safeguard has NUP put in places to ensure vote protection and transparent counting in 2026? And do you have vote tallying mechanism that is parallel?
So first, yes, it is true. We do not entirely trust the Electoral Commission. We have seen them trying to reach in broad daylight. We saw what happened in the 2021 election. They declared even before they could count the remaining polling stations. So we have since tried to, and we've worked so hard and tirelessly to see that we become more organized compared to the way we were in 2021. And I think an example that I can use is the Kawempe North by-election, which I think for me was a mock election to show us what is going to happen in 2026. We saw places where ballot boxes were kicked. We saw places where they came and arrested agents. We saw, numbers, figures being changed at the tallying center. So among the things that, yes, we do believe that we are going to have a parallel tallying center. We have established the fact that we're going to have agents at every polling station. And most importantly, we're advising them that when you go to vote or when you're an agent, you do not dress to show people where you belong. Just go there as any normal person so that it is not easy for the security forces to identify who our people are. We are going to have a system, I am aware that we are going to have a system where people will be able to upload their DR forms in real time. Our only worry now is the issue of internet. As you may be aware, internet was turned off in the previous election. They've already started to have conversations around it. They released a memo telling us that if you're going to import Starlink internet, you must have accreditation, you must be approved by URA. So we know that all these are things that are being done to block us from, when you create an information gap, you're able to do whatever it is that you want to do. So I know that the team is working tirelessly. We have an entire ICT team that is trying to see if we can actually have offline access to DR forms that are being uploaded in real time. And we are yet to confirm if it's going to be possible, but then we also know that we are going to protect this vote. If you've been following, you're saying we are having a protest vote. We want people to turn up in very big numbers that it will even be impossible to reach that election.
President Museveni has been in power for 40 years. He commands the military, controls state resources, and appoints the Electoral Commission, and has the entire machinery of government and at his disposal. Security Minister Shamin, like you said, they said it clearly that they have the right to shoot and kill you when referring to protesters. So this isn't just electoral contest, it's a profoundly asymmetric power dynamic. So realistically, what is NUP's theory of change? Do you believe you can win through the ballot box, or is this about building long-term opposition infrastructure for eventual transition?
Well, I believe that we can win. As the NUP, I believe that we won in 2021, and I believe that we are still going to win even in 2026. But then, of course, we know the challenges that we are facing. We know that we're going into this election when the Electoral Commission was appointed by the sitting president. We know that he controls security. We know that he controls all the state resources that we have. So we're going into this election for us to be able to give democracy a chance, to know that we at least gave that a shot, because as we know, our president, and we have continued to tell people that we must try the peaceful means first. We must at least try to show that we did what was right. And for me, I think it's the fact that we believe that we can win. So we've been telling our people that we must win overwhelmingly, that they will just admit and have nothing to do. But short of that, we also believe that this could be a spark for us to have a revolution, because we have seen so many revolutions that spark out of people's voices being undermined. And we know that an election is one way that people show their stand and where it is that they belong.
The majority of the people in Uganda are, let's say, they are the young one. And what would be your message to the young voters? Because most of them, they think that why bother? Because they will just rig it anyway.
So first, to the young people, not all hope is lost. That I believe if we turned up in very big numbers and we all made our voices clear, then probably we could force the dictator into admitting to the right reasons, into admitting to what we've done. But then also, as a young person, your power is in your vote. Your vote is your power. So you cannot show where you stand. You can't show that you want a better Uganda. You can't show that you want to see a new Uganda if you did not show it through your vote. So my message is to you, the young people, not all hope is lost. Let us give it a try. Let us try to see that we can have a better Uganda, and we can only do that through actually going to the polls and voting for who we want to be our leader.
Let's have these post-scenario elections. Let's say if you lose and if you win. So first, if the Electoral Commission announces that Museveni has won with similar numbers to 2021, what is NUP's plan? Do you go to court knowing the judiciary is widely seen as compromised, or do you call for protest, risking another violent crackdown where over 50 people died last time? And secondly, if you win, now, which is the opposite, suppose NUP generally win, and given Museveni's 40 years grip on power and the loyalty of security forces, do you believe he would peacefully hand over power? What mechanism exists to ensure genuine transfer of power?
First, if God forbid we don't win, okay, we're going to win, but if we don't get declared, what is it that we are going to do? The one thing that we've been telling people is that it's our power to demand for our win. It is our right as Ugandans that we must ensure that whoever wins is the one that is declared. So if we win and we are not declared, then it is up to Ugandans to actually exercise their rights. And I believe that among our rights, we have one where we're allowed to peacefully protest. So we believe that Ugandans will be able to stand and make clear what their stand is, go ahead and protest peacefully if they must, express their dissatisfaction in whatever way that they can, as long as they remain within the boundaries and within what the law declares and dictates for us to do. We know that Mr. Museveni has command over the security forces and whoever it is, but we are more than all of them. We are more than the security forces, we the civilians, we are more than whoever it is, we're more than whoever it is that is in the government. I think that is the 1% that they talk about. So the 99% have the right to exercise their powers, to show their dissatisfaction, but then we'd also expect security forces to understand that their allegiance is to the common Ugandans, their allegiance is to Uganda and not to a particular person. So, and we also know that we have some supporters within the security forces. It's not that all security forces are for the one man that is commanding them now.
So with regional context and international accountability, you have observed disputed elections recently in Tanzania, violent crackdown in Mozambique, and democratic challenge across the region. The African Union couldn't definitely say if Uganda's 2021 election was free and fair. And while the US and the EU issued strong statements, Museveni remains in power, and the situation has arguably worsened. So what tangible actions, not just a statement, should the international community and African institutions take?
So we do appreciate that the international community has sometimes come out to make their stand clear. They've released statements and whatsoever. But then for me, I think there is still a lot that the international community has to do. We have seen gross human rights violations in this country. We saw people get shot in broad daylight. So for me, I think it's important that, for example, ICC, it's important that the UN and all the different organizations and even the citizens of the other countries in the international community make their stand clear. We do appreciate that we've seen some sanctions come through. And I think we need to be more robust with that. If they're going to have sanctions, then they should target each and every one that has been implicated in these human rights violations. We must see people being held accountable. So for me, I believe that the international community has much more to do other than just releasing statements. Yes, we appreciate the statements, but we need action to be taken. And they do have several actions that can be taken and exercised and implemented to see that people that abuse human rights, people that are, doing whatever it is that is not right actually do are held accountable.
Yeah, Dr. Nambasa, thank you so much. And now, personal question.
Thank you.
You have chosen
Yeah.
to be involved in opposition politics in a country where that choices can cost your freedom or even your life. On a personal level, what drives you? Have you faced threats or intimidation? And looking forward to the bigger picture, Uganda has 10.7 million voters, if I'm not wrong, under 30 in a country where 72% of the population hasn't reached their 30th birthday yet. Many have never known a president other than 80-year-old Museveni. Is this fundamentally a generational struggle? And regardless of what happened in January 15, 2026, where do you see Uganda's democracy 5 years from now? Will time and demographic eventually favor democratic change?
So I've chosen to be part of the opposition because there is a lot that I see in the country, and I believe that there is so much more that can be done to make things right. I do appreciate that, yes, we are in a country where 70% of the population, 79% actually, is below 30 years. And when you look at the decision-making tables, you'll find that it's only, I think, about 15% of us that are represented. You look at the mean age of our cabinet, it's over 60, yet we have so many young people. So I believe that as young people, we need to be represented. We need our voices to be heard. We need to have actual and tangible actions that are done. When you look at the unemployment rates, you look at the education literacy, you look at infrastructure, there is a lot more that has to be done. And I believe that we do need to stand up and do that as well. The fact that we've never seen any other president is actually sickening, because when you look at our constitution that was drafted in 1995, we had term limits, we had age limits, but they have since been taken away, they have since been removed, and we're now living in a country where people can lead for life. And it is sad because we know that when the biological clock comes in, the older people become, the less they even continue to think and determine for people what is going to happen. So looking at the democracy and the future of democracy in Uganda, I think it depends largely on what is going to come out of the 2026 election. That are we going to put an end to a 40-year dictatorship? Because as you can tell right now, we have a president that has been there for 40 years. We have his son, who is the current CDF, and he has made clear that he wants to become president. And we do know that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We have seen him torture people and come out to praise himself about things like that. So the future of democracy right now, I think, is still blurry, because it will base entirely on what happens in 2026. We could be we could be headed for the worst, or we could be headed for a different kind of country. So it will depend entirely on what comes out of 2026.
Dr. Nambasa, thank you for your time and sharing your perspective on what's happening on the ground in Uganda.
Thank you.
What you and your colleagues are doing right there is really tremendous and very courageous. We wish you safety in these final weeks of campaigning, strength for whatever comes on January 15th and beyond. And we hope your generation demands democratic change prevail. Best of luck.
Yeah, we shall. Thank you so much.
Thank you.